was a woman, Meghan, who was his safety net and provided what he thought would be the mollycoddling and the love and security he was desperately looking for.
Harry and Meghan, she's been brainwashing him. They have kicked back already, Tom, ahead of publication.
And it's true. I mean, that's the point. It is actually, unfortunately, true at the time.
For years, the Montecito PR machine has relentlessly pushed a single, highly produced narrative. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle are equals, deeply in love, fighting side by side against a toxic world. But that billion-dollar fairy tale has just violently collapsed. The illusion is over. Tom Bower, the feared investigative biographer with 26 books to his name, has stepped back up to the microphone. Building on the devastating revelations of his March 2026 book, Betrayal, Bower is no longer just analyzing their exit from the royal family. He is now dropping a series of shocking forensic claims about the exact, chilling power dynamic inside the Sussex marriage today. We arrive at the first phase of the unmasking, the hostile takeover and the mirrored mind. Bower's core claim is brilliantly simple and utterly terrifying. He alleges that this marriage was never a partnership of equals. It was a psychological takeover. He asserts that the brainwashing of Prince Harry is not a theory, but a completed project. Bower points out the most disturbing truth of all.
It was very early on in their relationship when Harry is bowled over by Meghan, is desperately in love.
What she allowed it to become, which I think was unforgivable, was a tirade against the racist royal family.
She obviously went into the marriage with other things in mind, namely fame and fortune and a glittering career in California. He wanted half in, half out. He wanted his own cake and eat it. And the royal family said, no, you're either in the royal family or not in the royal family.
Harry's character now entirely mirrors Meghan's. The jovial, loyal prince who founded the Invictus Games has been systematically dismantled. The warmth has been replaced by suspicion. The loyalty has been replaced by endless grievance. Bower claims that Meghan didn't just move Harry to California. She completely rewrote his reality. She convinced him that his family, his country, and his past were all enemies, positioning herself as his sole savior and ultimate authority. Let us go inside the $14 million Montecito compound to witness the fallout. The California sun is blinding outside, but the house is a freezing, isolated tomb. The silence is absolute, predatory, and entirely deafening. In a fortress built on the relentless preaching of mutual empowerment, there is absolutely no power left. There is only the suffocating quiet of a PR command center staring down the barrel of an unmasking orchestrated by an elite-level journalist who checks his facts. Silence isn't innocence. It is gasoline. And the entire estate is drenched in it. Prince Harry is pacing the length of his cavernous study, completely hollowed out. He is broken. He listens to Bower's claims echoing across global media, and the terrifying reality of his submission finally crushes him.
Prince Harry could somehow worm his way back into the fold. It seems like Sussex PR is in overdrive lately.
Meghan wouldn't come back to Britain, so I think it's always the same. He wants his cake and eat it.
Talked about the problems within the royal family, Harry, Meghan. The trip, just as an overview from you, Charles and Camilla, 4 days in the States with a president who loathes the Prime Minister of Great Britain.
Well, I think it's been a phenomenal success, and all power to the monarchy. Thank goodness we haven't got President Blair or somebody to do that sort of thing. No, it's been terrific. The King has really shown, after all these years, what an extraordinary good diplomat he is.
He remembers the 44 million views on TikTok exposing the physical steering, the double-claw grip in Vancouver, the constant interruptions. The world can see he is being managed. He traded the impenetrable armor of his royal birthright to become a supporting character in his wife's unending Hollywood hustle. He is a depreciated asset, entirely stripped of his agency, terrified that Bower is accurately describing his invisible cage. Down the hall, in the war room, Meghan is wide awake.
She is never sad.
She is a cornered apex predator, operating with chilling, surgical precision. She relies on commanding the narrative to survive, But the public forensic dissection of her marriage dynamics leaves her with absolutely no shadows to hide in. You cannot merchandise an epic, balanced love story when a veteran author is broadcasting that it is a psychological takeover.
I just thought this woman is really doing something quite dreadful to Britain, and Harry has fallen in love with her in a ludicrous way and has gone along as her accomplice. Here was a woman who was nothing. I mean, born, broken family, the whole thing, an unknown actress, all the rest of it, becomes a global star, which is what she wanted. When she was about 9 or 10, she said to her father, I want to be famous, I want to walk down the red carpet. And she has now done that. And she's calculated that she could be a great success. And by marrying Harry, she'd
Say that she always thought that she'd prefer some sort of career, but when she saw how little money there was in being a royal and how much you had to work for it, in any case, she wanted to head back to California even before she got married.
Yeah.
So that was the end of that.
because there's no way. In her original description of the curtsy, it was a small curtsy in Windsor Park. The idea that she bent down like that is just ludicrous. But she's having it up. She's a third-rate actor. She can't do proper acting even. So that's why she's doing it. Really, Dan, what was the worst part really is not that in the press. It was that they cast every white man and woman in Britain as racist. Everyone is racist.
And every
according to them.
Brexit voter is
Is doubly racist. And somehow that is what really stank.
We spin this as a racist witch hunt immediately. She dictates to her scrambling legal team over an encrypted line, her voice metallic and entirely flat. We call Bauer's claims a deranged conspiracy. We deploy the bot farms to flood the algorithm with photos of us smiling. Do not let the sponsors see the panic, but she is negotiating with ghosts. The public is exhausted by the manufactured smiles. They are finally listening to the biographer's warning. Across the ocean, Prince William, the enforcer, stands in the quiet, historic authority of the palace. He watches the Montecito simulation violently crash. The men in gray suits saw this power dynamic forming years ago. They knew the psychological takeover was the first step in the Markle playbook. The palace perimeter is locked, and the spectacular unraveling of the Sussex marriage has only just begun. The exposure moves from the overarching psychological takeover directly into the chilling.
Meghan giving a staffer a very dirty look during their controversial Australian hospital visit. You'll remember they were in Australia last week. Now, the clip has gone viral, and former staffers who I spoke to have exclusively told me that it revived memories for them of their traumatic employment under her. So in this clip, Meghan's chief staff, who's a very, very competent professional woman called Sarah Fosmo, previously worked at Gates Foundation, a tough cookie, I am told, is seen coming over to Harry, and she sort of taps him on the shoulder and points up at a balcony like that to indicate to him that there are people on the balcony above who want his attention. And Meghan gives her what I can only describe as a mega death stare, and you can see this, arches her eyebrows at Sarah in very clear reprimand. So another former employee told me, it gives me PTSD. This is what they said after watching the clip. It's classic Meghan, literally a workplace psychopath, smiling to the public on one side of her face and glowering at you on the secret side where she thinks she is unobserved. The woman treats anyone she has power over as totally disposable. You are just treated like a tradesman who is there to fix the toilet.
Then we learned that apparently Ted Sarandos had said he wouldn't sit with Meghan anymore unless he had a lawyer present. Now, to be fair, Variety makes it clear that this could have been said, in jest, but a Netflix spokesperson said it's absolutely inaccurate.
Systematic mechanics of how that control is maintained on a daily basis. Tom Bauer does not just theorize about a compliant prince. He points to the exact documented blueprint of his subjugation. He exposes a terrifying reality. The total dismantling of Prince Harry's life was not a tragic accident of their royal exit. It was a heavily enforced requirement of their marriage. We arrive at the second phase of the unmasking, the social annihilation and the Hollywood silencing. Bauer lays out the brutal historical record, confirming what insiders have whispered for years. He points to the infamous Sandringham shooting weekend and the wedding of Tom Inskip, where Harry's oldest, most trusted friends were systematically alienated and eventually banned. Bower claims this was the beginning of a deliberate purge. Meghan methodically severed Harry's ties with his Eton classmates, his military brothers, and his family by framing anyone who questioned her as toxic.
This is not an example where evidence doesn't exist. This is not an example of he said, she said.
Firstly, grateful to them because it pushed the book up to #1 on Amazon. And secondly, I'm not surprised. I mean, for them, any criticism is always poisonous and damaging, and particularly from me, manipulated him and used and exploited his weaknesses. But you've got to put the other side of this, that he, on the other hand, couldn't find an English woman who wanted to live with him. I mean, they all fled because of his depressions and paranoia. And here,
by changing his phone number and burning his bridges, she made sure he had absolutely no one else to call for a reality check. But Bower goes further, connecting this personal isolation directly to Harry's professional humiliation. He references the devastating Variety exposé, Hollywood's trade Bible, which revealed that in high-stakes meetings with Netflix executives, Meghan consistently talks over Harry, cutting him off mid-sentence, always preceded by a firm touch to the arm or thigh. Bower delivers the devastating blow. Harry's social annihilation was just phase 1. Phase 2 is his public silencing. He is not allowed to speak for himself, not even in his own multi-million-dollar pitch meetings. Let us return to the $14 million Montecito compound. The California sun cannot penetrate the psychological winter of this estate.
The house is a freezing tomb.
The silence is absolute, predatory, and entirely deafening.
There are no sounds of a vibrant family.
There is only the terrifying quiet of a brand whose deepest, most manipulative social dynamics have just been publicly audited by a biographer holding the receipts. Silence isn't innocence.
It is gasoline.
And tonight, the match is burning down to the fingers. Prince Harry sits in the dark of his cavernous study, completely hollowed out.
He is broken.
He listens to Bower articulate the glaring, humiliating reality of his isolation, and the horrifying realization finally crushes him. He scrolls through his phone and realizes the contacts are empty. The friends who would have taken a bullet for him are gone, replaced by Hollywood executives like Netflix's Ted Sarandos.
Harry apparently, reportedly, according to the book, is worried he'll be banished from royal circles when William becomes king. Well, that is almost certainly true. He'll probably lose his HRH title and his prince title. Also, allegations of a row between Meghan and William, with Meghan back in the day when she was in the royal family. She had a fight with William, reportedly, and she said, "William, get your finger out of my face." It seems like William had the measure of this woman long before the rest of us.
Now, Prince Harry co-founded Centre Bale in 2006, a charity in Lesotho, Africa, dedicated to supporting children and young people affected by HIV/AIDS. Now, earlier this year, he resigned from his role in bitter dispute with the chair, Dr. Sophie Chandulka. But that wasn't the end of it.
Who allegedly won't even take a meeting with Meghan without a lawyer present. The recruitment operation he fell for convinced him that cutting ties was a healthy boundary. Now, sitting in the dark, he realizes he wasn't building a fortress. He was building his own solitary confinement, where he is not even allowed to finish his own sentences. He is a depreciated asset, entirely silenced. In the war room, Meghan is wide awake.
She is never sad.
She operates with chilling, surgical precision. She relies on ambiguity to survive, but the public, forensic dissection of her isolation tactics leaves her with absolutely no shadows to hide in. You cannot merchandise a narrative of progressive, modern living when a veteran journalist and Hollywood's biggest trade magazine are mathematically proving you have socially quarantined and professionally silenced your husband. Pivot to the protective wife. Narrative immediately. She dictates to her scrambling PR team over an encrypted line, her voice completely flat. We send legal letters to anyone who mentions the Variety article. We claim I saved him from bad influences. We spin the isolation as our greatest choice. We must project that we chose to be alone, but she is negotiating with ghosts.
That Prince Harry would have thought or even liked, to be honest, because, as you said, he did step back from the charity that he founded with Princess of Lesotho back in 2006. It was in both of their mothers' memory. They both lost their mothers at a young age.
I think the royal family, but you're talking about a sick king, sick Kate. Camilla isn't all that well either. The last thing they need is the controversy that the Meghan and Harry can bring. They don't want that disturbing their lives. So we're in for a roller coaster. It's going to be very interesting. The fate of the royal family is, as always, a topic of great interest.
The public is no longer blinded by the excuses. They see the psychological quarantine for what it is. The legal threats only make the pattern look more undeniable. Across the ocean, Prince William, the enforcer, receives the intelligence reports. He is cold. He is surgical.
He is final.
The men in gray suits watched this exact quarantine protocol unfold in real time. They remember William splitting the Kensington Palace household because he saw the isolation happening before his very eyes. The palace watches the Hollywood cannibalization happen from afar, knowing that a marriage built on the deliberate isolation and silencing of one partner eventually becomes an unbearable, highly publicized prison. The exposure accelerates from the personal isolation of Prince Harry directly into the systematic, terrifying destruction of his life's work. Tom Bower does not just highlight how Meghan Markle controls her husband in Hollywood pitch meetings. He forensically details how that need for absolute control has entirely incinerated the only things Harry had left to be proud of. He exposes the undeniable reality that in this marriage, Harry is not allowed to have a legacy of his own. We arrive at the third phase of the unmasking, the legacy sabotage.
On the whole, the British public, by a majority, still favours a monarchy over having President Angela Rayner, or, God forbid, someone even worse. So I think that we'll survive it all. We've gone through quite a few earthquakes over the past 1,000 years, but it's a very bad moment for the royal family, and it does need somebody of great wisdom to navigate it back to safer waters.
Tom Bower is one of the most feared biographers in the world, and he's gone after Richard Branson, Tony Blair, and of course Meghan Markle. None of those people have successfully sued him because, like you, Paul, he's an elite level journalist who checks his facts. And don't forget that these publishing companies are not stupid. They're not going to publish things that aren't true because they know they'll wind up in court.
And the workplace psychopath. Bower lays out the devastating numbers. Harry founded the Invictus Games in 2014, long before Meghan. It was his creation to honor wounded veterans. But Bower reveals that at the 2025 Invictus Games in Vancouver, Meghan hijacked the narrative. 2 senior executives were dismissed for questioning their expenses. Organizers were ordered to call Meghan ma'am. The result? At one wheelchair basketball match, there were only 43 paying spectators. The media only cared about Meghan's wardrobe. An executive described her presence as bling, not rehabilitation. The sabotage continued with Sentebale, the charity Harry co-founded in 2006 in memory of his mother. Bower documents that a major Japanese philanthropist organization pulled out entirely due to the controversy surrounding Meghan, stripping 23% of the charity's annual funding in a single blow. By March 2025, Harry had resigned from his role entirely, but Bower points to the most chilling evidence of how this control operates behind the scenes. 25 staff members have now quit. Bower points to the viral April 2026 Australia tour clip where Chief of Staff Sarah Latham simply tapped Harry's back to point out some fans. Meghan whipped around and delivered a mega death stare. Former employees told the press that the clip gave them PTSD, describing Meghan as a workplace psychopath who smiles sweetly for the public and glowers in secret, treating everyone, from staff to her own husband, as totally disposable. Let us step back inside the $14 million Montecito fortress. It is high noon, but the California sun cannot pierce the psychological winter of this estate. The house is a freezing tomb. The silence is absolute, predatory, and entirely deafening. There are no sounds of a vibrant family. There is only the terrifying quiet of a brand whose deepest, most destructive control tactics are being broadcast to the world by a biographer who has spoken to the victims.
Harry knows it's not. Harry wants to be gone and out of there. They are not aligned in purpose. Harry is trying to reunite with his family. So keep trying to make it seem like
against the royal family and make it even worse. So I think she's pretty unhappy in Britain. She doesn't like it that Kate probably looks infinitely better than she does, and Kate probably snubs her because she's been so rude and cruel and inaccurate. And it's a tough time for them, and not least because Meghan, I thought ridiculously when they left yesterday holding hands.
Silence isn't innocence. It is gasoline. And the match is burning down to the fingers. Prince Harry is standing by the massive bay windows, completely hollowed out.
He is broken.
He listens to the exposure of his destroyed charities, and a sickening, unadulterated panic sets in. The recruitment operation he fell for convinced him they were building a global humanitarian empire. Instead, he realizes his wife's suffocating self-importance has driven away the sponsors, the veterans, and 25 staff members. He looks at the calendar, March 2025, the day he walked away from his mother's charity. 43 paying spectators at his proudest creation. He is a depreciated asset, entirely stripped of his philanthropic armor, facing the agonizing reality that his legacy wasn't just overshadowed, it was actively dismantled to make room for her brand. In the war room, Meghan is pacing.
She is never sad.
She operates with chilling, surgical precision. She relies on commanding the narrative to survive, but the hard, broadcasted reality of her death stare and the massive loss of charity funding leaves her with absolutely no shadows to hide in.
You cannot sell a story of authentic,
relatable compassion when former staff are publicly calling you a workplace psychopath who treats people like tradesmen there to fix a toilet. We pivot to the modernization narrative. Immediately, she dictates to her rapidly shrinking crisis team over an encrypted line, her voice metallic and entirely flat. We claim the charities needed restructuring. We say the staff who left were incompetent. We spin the Australia clip as me, just being protective of his space. Drown out the PTSD. Claims, but she is negotiating with ghosts. The public is not buying the spin. They see the 43 empty seats, they see the 23% funding drop, and they recognize the death stare of a woman who demands absolute, unyielding obedience. Across the ocean, Prince William, the enforcer, monitors the global fallout. He is cold,
which was quite normal for Harry, and he just thought they'd all get on together, but in fact the opposite. I mean, Meghan is someone who doesn't hold herself back from complaining about people's way of manner, their way they talk, the way they behave, and all the rest of it. She has a narrative, and she's a very domineering woman, and so she is such. And what was amusing was on the way home from Sandringham, they're all texting each other, oh my God.
He is surgical. He is final.
The palace recognizes the supreme tragedy of the situation.
The men in gray suits warned Harry that Invictus and Centibale required selfless dedication, not Hollywood bling. The palace watches the Montecito fortress rapidly collapse from the inside out, completely paralyzed by the exposure of their own ruthless, destructive vanity. The exposure accelerates from the destruction of Prince Harry's charitable legacy directly into the most permanent, catastrophic mistake of his entire life. Tom Bower does not just analyze the daily control. He forensically dissects the ultimate weapon Meghan Markle used to permanently sever Harry from his homeland. He exposes the undeniable reality that Harry's global confession was not an act of liberation. It was an act of total self-sabotage orchestrated by his wife. We arrive at the fourth phase of the unmasking. The manufactured memoir and the geographical hostage, Bower targets Spare. The book sold 1.4 million copies on its first day, certified by Guinness World Records as the fastest-selling nonfiction book of all time. But Bower points out the glaring, impossible contradictions within its pages. Harry wrote that he never heard Meghan speak a bad word about anybody. yet in the exact same timeline. He describes staff weeping at their desks and a royal household in open crisis. Bauer exposes the terrifying truth.
Nutter, how on earth can he stay with her? And the same then happened when they went to Tommy Inskip's wedding in Jamaica, which was a great friend of Harry's, who in the end was banned from the dinner after their wedding.
Yeah, well, I know at least 3 of the very good friends were apparently
banned, all by Meghan.
And then they saw all these celebrities filing in.
Exactly.
Who'd known her about 3 minutes.
Yeah, if that. And Meghan was really, she controls everything. So it was a great cameo.
Spare is not Harry's story. It is the story Meghan needed told. Every major grievance, palace racism, coldness, complicity, mapped directly onto what the Sussex brand required to make their exit look righteous. Now, the trap has fully closed. Harry wants to go home. His father has cancer, his brother will not speak to him, and his children have barely met their grandfather. But he is locked in a bitter legal battle just for the right to walk through the door. He lost his High Court case in May 2025 and lost again on appeal. The last formal security assessment was conducted in 2019, 6 years ago. Harry claims he cannot bring his family without police protection. But insiders reveal the chilling reality. Meghan has absolutely no intention of ever returning. She has not set foot in Britain since the Queen's funeral in September 2022, nearly 4 years ago. The arguments are now tearing them apart, emotionally and geographically. Harry is not just a compliant husband. He is a geographical hostage. Let us go back inside the $14 million Montecito compound. It is dusk. A suffocating, heavy marine layer has swallowed the fortress, turning it into an isolated tomb. The silence is absolute, predatory, and entirely deafening. There are no sounds of a vibrant family life. There is only the suffocating quiet of a PR command center whose most brilliant, manipulative trap has just been broadcast to the world by a biographer who sees the strings. Silence isn't innocence. It is gasoline. And tonight, the flames are licking the very walls of the estate. Prince Harry is wandering the empty, cavernous corridors, completely hollowed out. He is broken. He listens to Bauer dismantle the narrative of his own memoir, and the final, horrifying reality of his situation locks into place.
She isn't a great actress, to say the least. She doesn't actually come across as someone of great warmth when she's not acting. There's no mystery about her. She is just a hugely ambitious, grasping person. And I think that is, in the end, what brings her down. That there is nothing original about her. She's tried her hardest through Netflix and all the various podcasts to be able to borrow a very indicative individual furrow and prove herself unique, and has consistently failed to do that. And the reason why, I may just say why it's so fascinating, is because, of course, they are global characters, they're global celebrities. They've caused enormous damage to the royal.
He wrote a book that permanently alienated his family, believing he was speaking his truth. Now, he realizes he was simply the ghostwriter for her brand's foundational myth. The recruitment operation he fell for convinced him he was breaking cycles of trauma. Instead, he realizes he burned his only bridge home. He is a depreciated asset, staring directly into the abyss, terrified by the realization that he is trapped in California with a wife who will never let him cross the ocean again. In the war room, Meghan is wide awake. She is never sad. She is an apex predator, cornered by her own hubris, operating with chilling, surgical precision. She relies on commanding the narrative to survive, but the hard, unyielding reality of Bauer exposing the geographical divide leaves her with absolutely no shadows to hide in. You cannot demand global empathy for a royal exile when insiders are leaking that you are the one keeping the gates locked. We double down on the security excuse. She dictates to her panicked, rapidly shrinking PR team over an encrypted line, her voice metallic and entirely flat. We claim the UK is too dangerous for our children. We spin the May 2025. Court loss as institutional cruelty. We must make it look like we are forced to stay in America. Do not let them know we are fighting about this. She is attempting to manufacture leverage out of a court loss. But she is negotiating with ghosts. The public has seen the blueprint. They know she has no desire to return to a country where her approval ratings are decimated, and the security excuse is entirely dead on arrival. Across the ocean, Prince William, the enforcer, watches the broadcast conclude its fourth segment. He is cold. He is surgical. He is final. The Crown is not interfering because they don't have to. The men in gray suits knew that spare was the point of no return. They knew the security battle was just a PR smokescreen for a wife who refused to face the British public. The institutional perimeter is permanently sealed, and the realization of his permanent exile is rapidly consuming the last shred of Harry's sanity. The exposure reaches its absolute devastating terminus. Tom Bower does not merely conclude his broadcast with a recap of Harry's isolation. He delivers the final psychological death blow to the entire Montecito empire. He shifts his focus from the mechanics of the control directly to the terrifying, inescapable endgame of their financial and marital reality. He forensically exposes the undeniable truth. The joint venture is completely dead, and the discard phase has already begun. We arrive at the final reckoning, the corporate collapse, and the conditional discard. Bower delivers his most chilling verdict yet. He alleges that Meghan Markle has already separated herself from Prince Harry, except for the rare moments when a joint appearance will enrich her publicity. Harry is no longer a partner. He is a heavily managed prop pulled out of storage strictly to build her brand, but Bower points out the absolute, paralyzing irony. She is distancing herself from a man she fundamentally still needs. Without Harry's royal connection, Bower states, there is no brand. There is just an actress from a cancelled cable show. And the numbers prove the entire illusion is rapidly bleeding out. Bower lays out the corporate carnage. The $20 million Spotify deal collapsed. The massive Netflix contract quietly lapsed in September 2025 after 5 shows with embarrassing, declining audiences. Their top PR agency quit. 25 staff members have fled, and the personal isolation is now absolute. Just this week, King Charles was in the United States, delivering a historic address to Congress. He was a mere 5 hours away from the Montecito estate. He did not call. He did not visit. His own son was not on the guest list, and sources confirm Harry and Meghan didn't even watch the speech on television. Bower delivers the ultimate chilling prophecy. Harry traded a family, a country, a purpose, and a globally respected life. And he traded it all for a Hollywood hustle that is currently filing for moral bankruptcy. Let us step inside the $14 million Montecito tomb one last time. It is dawn. The suffocating, heavy marine layer is finally burning off, exposing the fortress to the harsh, unforgiving light of reality. Inside, the house is a freezing void. The silence is absolute, predatory, and deafening. There are no sounds of a thriving, vibrant love story preparing to conquer the world. There is only the chilling, unnatural quiet of a stage set right before the curtain drops forever, revealing the staggering corporate and emotional ruin underneath. Silence isn't innocence. It is gasoline. And the entire operation has just gone up in a spectacular, globally televised blaze. Prince Harry stands by the massive bay windows, looking out at the California horizon, completely hollowed out. He is broken. The terrifying reality of Bower's final exposure shatters his last remaining delusion. He looks at his own profound isolation. His father was 5 hours away and didn't even pick up the phone. His Netflix deal is gone. His charities are drained. He realizes the horrifying truth. He didn't outsmart the monarchy to find freedom. He walked willingly into a meticulously planned exile, only to be conditionally discarded the second his corporate utility expired. He is a depreciated asset, trapped in a house built on leveraged trauma, entirely alone. In the war room, Meghan stands amidst the shredded remains of her greatest global production. She is a cornered predator. She is never sad. She operates with chilling, surgical precision, desperately searching for a contingency plan. She relies on commanding the spotlight to survive, But the undeniable broadcasted reality of her corporate collapse leaves her with absolutely no shadows to hide in. The equal partnership card has been permanently declined. You cannot claim to be building a billion-dollar global empire when your staff is quitting, your contracts are lapsing, and a veteran biographer is proving to the world that you are already distancing yourself from the wreckage. We launch the solo brand immediately, she dictates to the empty room, her voice a metallic, desperate whisper. We leak that I am focusing on my own ventures. We hint that he is holding me back. We spin the Netflix exit as our decision. We must control the narrative of the split. But she is negotiating with ghosts. The leverage is completely gone. The Hollywood executives have fled, horrified by the cold, calculated reality of the Sussex brand. The entire world has seen the blueprint, and you cannot launch a surprise rebrand when the opposing side has already mathematically proven you are out of options. Across the ocean, Prince William, the enforcer, stands in the quiet, historic, and absolute authority of the palace. He has made his move by not moving at all. He is cold. He is surgical. He is final. The perimeter is fully and permanently secured. The simulation has violently crashed. The men in gray suits didn't have to launch an investigation or issue a frantic press release. They simply had to wait for the architect of Harry's isolation to run out of other people's money. History will remember Meghan and Harry not as the tragic, star-crossed lovers who conquered the monarchy, nor as the fearless cycle breakers who healed their trauma. History will remember them as the ultimate cautionary tale of hubris, the prince who traded his birthright for a fabricated reality, and the operative who built an empire on isolation, only to lose absolutely everything when the truth finally turned on the stadium lights. Stay sharp, stay skeptical, and remember, the truth is undefeated.